North America, let's face it, Blizzard pampers us really well. 13 of the 20 Overwatch League teams are based in North America. At the moment, all Overwatch League matches are played in North America. And finally, while most Contenders regions will be getting a downsize next year, North America will be getting more teams and 2 regions. Even so, the talent drain that occurred in Korea, Europe, and China as expansion teams snapped up new players during the offseason wasn't nearly as large in NA. However, this coming season of Contenders still looks to be very exciting, with new faces on every academy team and 4 strong independent teams looking to make their mark this season. Let's take a look at where each team stands at the very beginning.
There is still more to my tale!
One of the hottest subjects in North American Tier 2 Overwatch after Season 2 ended was what was going to become of last night's leftovers. After all, what they did against teams with much more money than them last season was admirable. There were some rumors that they were planned to join the DC Overwatch League team, then it was Houston's academy team. Finally, it seems the Atlanta Reign won the sweepstakes, and their academy team will now take the field before their actual team does. I must say that getting a farm system going this early is great for the Reign, and I can't wait to see how they use it. Moving over from LNL is the extremely experienced support duo of Dogman and Ajax, along with the 14-year-old phenomenon Sugarfree. Joining them will be the main tank and OG GOATS member Gator, the DPS that helped second win to a Trials Championship Saucy, and Hawk coming over from Phase 2. However, Saucy is the only one of these 3 who didn't compete with LNL in the Beat Esports Invitational, so there's some existing synergy already. With a mix of seasoned LNL players and exciting new players making their Contenders debut, Atlanta Academy looks to make waves in their first season.
I never thought I'd see this place again.
You know, with how much GOATS is the centerpiece of today's meta, it's kind of weird to think about how the team that is its namesake never made it to Contenders. Until today. Yes, First Generation is a rebrand of GOATS. However, you wouldn't recognize the lineup, as Tensa is the only OG GOATS member remaining. Despite being called First Generation, this team is made up of some of the most experienced NA Tier 2 players in the game. Tensa will be alongside RobDab, who spent the first 2 seasons of Contenders with NRG. The tank line will be composed of Nomi, the former San Francisco Shock main tank, as well as Hui, who has come out of a few months of inactivity in the scene to play. On DPS, they have 2 players from Denmark. Naga, who has played on the Copenhagen Flames and was on the most recent Team Denmark for Overwatch World Cup, which came 3rd in the Bangkok qualifier, as well as Zapre, another veteran who has kind of been floating around. Some teams he's been on before this have been Misfits, Copenhagen Flames, Grizzly Esports, Snakes, and Bazooka Puppies. First Generation has a seasoned roster of players who have spent years hovering around the Tier 2 scene, and they just haven't quite been able to make it to the next level. Maybe with the help of an Overwatch League veteran, they can finally break through.
Is this easy mode?
Fusion University has been the champions of Contenders NA for 2 seasons in a row, and it's not hard to see why. The DPS duo of Who Are You and Zachary has been lethal. Beast Halo has been one of the most underrated main tanks in all of Contenders, and the support duo of Alarm and Elk have always impressed. However, as it is with most Academy teams, their success may have finally caught up with them, as their roster this season is missing many key names. Beast Halo and Who Are You are gone completely, while Zachary was suspiciously absent from their Twitter post. However, the support duo of Alarm and Elk are back, despite the latter being in a 2-way contract. Also on a 2-way contract, and the surprising move, is Snillo. Despite the initial surprise, it makes perfect sense. On a team where Carpe exists, Snillo will never get much stage time. Better for him to keep sharp in Contenders, but have him on call in case double hit scam becomes meta. This is also a good place for Snillo to show the world that he's more than just a Tracer one-trick. Joining him on DPS is Neist, who is moving over from Korea after helping Metabellum to 2 semi-final finishes. Bernard will return on off-tank, but the new face is here on main tank. Changsik, who was on Kongdu Panthera when they came in 2nd place in the most recent Contenders Korea. However, Changsik was a bench warmer to Roar, so this is a great chance for him to prove his worth. While Fusion University has lost several of their star players this season, they have high standards, and after taking a few players from Contenders Korea and sending former Overwatch League help in Stillo, Fusion University look like championship contenders once again.
Barrier up.
Why is Panker still here? When iRemix got released and Fissure was traded, everyone assumed Panker would be the next one up, but the Gladiators I guess liked Roar and Scrims, so once again, Panker is in Tier 2 when frankly he deserves to be on an Overwatch League team. At least we get to watch him again. Not only that, but his longtime tank partner Gods is back as well, and their support duo of Pooks and Rolf aren't any different either. However, their DPS core got dismantled, with Blase heading over to the Uprising while Corey's whereabouts are currently unknown. However, it's assumed by most that he'll be playing for TC. The Legion have replaced him with the promising DPS player from Toronto Esports, Dalton, as well as Far, who has done a lot of floating around in Tier 2 and 3, and is best known for winning Jane's Widowmaker tournament. The biggest story for the Gladiators will be if their DPS players will be able to hold up. They'll need to if they want to finally win a playoff series.
And she's back in the game!
Michael has done it again! The player turned content creator turned leaker turned coach turned general manager has revived the Kangarna brand. This is actually a rebrand of the Phase 2 team that came in second place in Open Division and then just barely made it through trials on the last game. The support duo of Insomniac and Moore, as well as the DPS duo of Sinker and Wub and the main tank Duplicate have stuck together since Open Division. However, Hawk went over to Atlanta Academy. To fill the hole at Flex Tank, the team has picked up Pika, who played for Euphoria, which is ironically a team that Kangarna had to beat in order to make it to contenders on the last game while simultaneously crushing their hopes. In the end, Kangarna's team was one that barely made it to contenders in the first place, and they haven't done much to bolster their roster since then. Here's hoping that the existing trust and synergy is all they need.
Give me your best shot!
After barely surviving relegation last season, Mayhem Academy has been making moves to ensure that they can truly compete this time. If they are going to do so, the recognizable tank lineup should be where it all starts. Aligned and Krem are gone. In their place is the former Outlaw Fact Fiction, as well as the former Mayhem player Manitin, staying within the organization but moving a level down. These two will definitely be hungry to prove that they're still Overwatch League quality players. This is coupled with a DPS duo that remains strong, Apply, who has a two-way contract with the Mayhem, and Shax, who impressed on Team Denmark, are still here. Paintbrush will also be making a return on main support. On flex support, we have EPPZ, who will be coming over from Orglis in Hungary and Europe. I hope he's full now. However, the main focus for Mayhem Academy will be whether their tank line can stand out enough to prove their worth as Overwatch League players once again.
If at first you don't succeed, blow it up again.
Energy Esports got picked apart more than most teams did over the offseason. Everyone knew Rascal would be going to the Shock, but we also saw Swan go to the Mayhem, Robdab get released, Phasix and Stratus are who knows where, but rumored to DC. The Flex DPS Poise and the former Team UK Flex Tank Smex are the only two returning members. Joining Smex on main tank is Stand1, who is moving to America after his Contenders Korea team Foxes got relegated out of Contenders last season. Meanwhile, Poise will be joined by Kevster, who has seen time on LNL and Orglis. Two players who are really looking for their big break. Their support line is all new as well. Hello, I'm Halo seems to have been found in the Fusion Showcase last June, as he came in third there with his team TGC. Other than that, he hasn't even been to trials, let alone contenders. With him is Byram, who was from the current Contenders Korea team Blossom, but was kicked for boosting allegations. This team entered into the Beat Esports Invitational, and promptly got kicked out. They just got destroyed. Their response was a new coaching staff and another Flex DPS Ezire, who has played for top independent teams like Goats and Second Wind. Will that be enough to right the ship?
Miss me?
Second Wind returns to the Contenders NA after being a bottom feeder last season, looking to make a statement, and they've completely retooled their roster since last year, so let's just go down the list. On main tank is Akawa, who has made his competitive debut with his team, as far as I can tell, and was pretty deep in the trials for Team Canada. On off-tank is Ferdowner, who has played for Last Night's Leftovers in the past and was on the team for their first Contenders appearance, and Coluz, who is an OG Goats player. On DPS, the team has Sit, another OG GOATS player who also helped LNL to their playoff berth, Mirror, who is a Vietnamese player who has played for 1 point in Bazooka Puppies in Europe, and finally Rena VX, who has played for Envision and Optic Academy back when they were good. Finally, their support duo is Karkar and Haku. The two have experience playing with each other back when Mirage Esport Electronique were competing in trials, so the synergy is there. The team has impressed recently, coming 3rd in the Beat Esports Invitational and 1st in Contenders Trials. Will they be able to keep up the success?
I'll be watching over you.
The Sky Foxes are in a very similar situation as Second Wind. They came into Contenders Season 2 with hopes, which promptly got smashed. However, instead of taking from the Tier 2 scene, Sky Foxes has somehow become a sort of safe haven for rejected Overwatch League players. The main tank iRemix from the Gladiators, the off-tank Kalios from the Uprising, the support Snow from the Uprising, and Verbo from the Valiant are all on this team. With 4 former Overwatch League players, Sky Foxes has an experience advantage unlike any other team in this tournament. Joining them in the top 8 is Drexy on DPS, who has been with the team ever since their debut last season, Zoms on Flex, who is making a return to the competitive scene after Team Simplicity fared poorly in Contender Season 1, Moopy on main tank, who has played for Contenders teams like Mayhem Academy and Second Wind in the past, and finally King, who, for one reason or another, I can't find anything on King. Except it's King, but with a 1 instead of an I. I don't know, he doesn't have a Wikipedia page, and I've been looking around, but I can't really find anything on him. If you know King's background and teams he's played for, please let me know in the comments, and I'll heart it so it shows up at the top. Either way, this team looks stacked with all the Overwatch League players on their roster. But are these players still Overwatch League worthy? We'll know soon enough.
I'm a man on a mission. Stay out of my way.
Team Envy is mostly going with what got them to the semifinals last season, and that sounds great to me. There are a few changes though. Tailspin has been moved onto a coaching position within the team, while Buds and iShiny were released. Joining the team will be the DPS Jaru, finally making the jump with the rest of his former Envision teammates, as well as Sharp and Fisher, the talented DPS duo of GGEA. Finally, to fill their hole on main tank, Team Envy picked up Trill. Trill will be moving from Australia, where he played for Blank Esports in the Pacific region, and became a commonly recognized name after playing for Team Australia in the Overwatch World Cup. Team Envy has kept together the core that makes them tick, and added on a few exciting pieces to it as well. This is definitely a team to watch.
Only through conflict do we evolve.
While we don't know what brand they'll be competing under, the former Toronto esports players will have a spot in Contenders. Their roster got an overhaul as well. Cruz is on the Paris Eternal, Nero and Shu are on the Guangzhou Charge, Dalton is on Gladiators Legion, Axiom and Colorhex got promoted, so who's left? On main tank, the team will have Fusions on a 2-way contract. The British main tank will look to build on the momentum he had after the Overwatch World Cup. On off tank, Crackalakin continues his return after winning a championship with Fusion University. Asking is now on the team after making some massive waves in Europe with Snakes last season. His mastery of hitscan DPS will be invaluable to this team's success. Alongside him will be Claus, who was the star flex DPS on Isurus Gaming, helping lead the team to 2 second-place finishes in Contenders South America. He was scheduled to make the swap to Brazil Gaming House, the Golden State Warriors of South American Overwatch, but it's great to see someone make it out of the black hole that is South American Contenders. On support, we have Dino, who was on Fractal Esports before they even became GOATs, and helped LNL to their playoff berth, as well as Swimmer, who has been sprinting the path to pro after competing in Open Division with Dogmen and Trials with the Sky Foxes. While this team is nearly completely reinvented from last season, and has been forced to take a lot of drama recently, a victory at the Beat Esports Invitational shows that these guys have what it takes to make a deep run this year.
Current outlook optimal.
XL2 is staying nearly as strong as they were last year. The tank line of TZ and Wooyall aren't going anywhere, and their flex support Goliath is still going strong. Adam will be making a shift to a staff role, which means Jur will be the next main support up. Jer has been around the Tier 2 scene for a while, and his most recent accomplishment was being with the Sky Foxes on their Contenders debut. While Flower and Nene were promoted up to the NYXL, Mangachu has a very exciting partner as a replacement. Logix, the former Mayhem hitscan who impressed before ultimately being outshone by Saya player. Many people in the community think Logic deserves an Overwatch League spot, and this is a chance to prove just that. Now that we know what all the teams look like, let's move on to the predictions. Group A seems pretty top-heavy to me. While Fusion University lost several key players, I would still be pretty surprised if anyone else in this group were able to beat them. However, after watching Uprising Academy take them the 5 maps, I'm going to give them second. The team has probably undergone a lot of stress recently, and their play was kind of sloppy as a result, but they have the individual talent to take this whole thing. I'm gonna put Atlanta Academy just a bit over Mayhem here. This is mostly because LNL beat Mayhem Academy last year, but I can easily see it going the other way if Fact and Maniton end up being as good of a tank duo as advertised. I think I'm going to have to give First Gen the slight edge over Kagarna based on what I've seen so far. I think their superior experience and leadership from Nomi will put them over the top. Meanwhile, Group B is a lot more competitive. I'm going to make this my bold prediction. I think Skyfoxes will make the playoffs here and force NRG to miss their first Contenders playoffs. The little that we saw of them at Beat just isn't very encouraging. However, we saw Seoul Dynasty suffer from the too many cooks in the kitchen syndrome in Overwatch League Season 1. With around 20 players and staff on board total, I hope the Skyfoxes aren't due for the same fate. As far as NRG, I just hope they're better with more time to synergize. I'm not 100% sold on the DPS of Gladiator's Legion yet, which is why I'm slotting them into third. The winner of Group B is an honest toss-up for me between XL2 and Envy, but something in my gut tells me that Envy is narrowly going to take it this time. I really like their pickups, and I think they're poised to make a deep run. Sometimes you just gotta trust your gut. And that'll do it. What are your predictions for this coming season of Contenders? What are you most looking forward to? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I make weekly competitive Overwatch content. Until next time though, that's all from me. Don't get tilted.